Wow, good evening, everyone that is watching me on Black Fire Network. Let me hope my voice is now clear. It's like the sound wasn't going out, so if you can hear me outside there, you can say hi to me in the comment section. Before saying anything, I'm seeing Royal Constrictor, triple O. He's saying 100%. It's like Royal Constrictor is agreeing with the topic we are having today. But of course, I'm INNOSSETU. I'm broadcasting live from Kampala, Uganda. I'm with my colleague, um, Africa Balia. She's in the building, and we are going to move together throughout these 3 hours. If you're watching me on Twitter, and that is Black Fire Network page, please and please and please, you always watch us in big numbers. I'm just begging, I'm on my knees. You like and follow this page so that we can grow this page, community, this page, this of course a Twitter page. You're watching me from, of course, YouTube. Endeavor to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Black Fire Network 2, and other Black Fire Network channels. You're watching me from Facebook, Black Fire Radio Station. Endeavor to like and follow the page and like our videos. Endeavor to share. It is okay for you to share our videos because we normally have the content that you cannot find anywhere about many. Very many people call themselves broadcasters, bloggers, whatever they call themselves, but what they deliver, it matters a lot. We take what we deliver as important as you may as important as we, because of course Black Fire Radio Station has been in the, of course, in the industry for some good time, so this makes us produce content that is quality compared to other broadcasters here on Facebook, Twitter, and other, of course, channels. Today in Uganda it has rained, like I say, it has rained seriously. But our topic today doesn't, of course, doesn't make a divergent away from what we have experienced today. Today in Uganda, um, there are certain places. I don't know why floods come. Floods. We see floods in, of course, in urban centers in African countries. Like at a time was like, was Kampala constructed in a swamp? Was Kampala constructed in a lake that was reclaimed or what? Because whenever it rains in Kampala, it is bad news. Like for today, a lot of shops in Kampala have closed down because of the rains that have rained today. At least does rain for good 6 hours during the day. Yet even at night it rained. So a lot of there is a certain area still in Kampala called Ibwaise. For people there, I don't know what they are going through right about now, but I know they are going through hell because these rains, they destroy everything. By the time it shines, all things in the house are taken. You have to put your legs up when it rains. Um, I got a chance of visiting some of these areas which are affected by floods and too much rains. One of those areas, I found out like people have long beds. People have long beds. People have long beds, so whenever it rains, like the floods just pass under the bed. So funny. But back on today's topic, we see that devastating floods have struck East Africa, causing significant loss of life and displacement of people. For so far, we see that 42 people lost their lives in central Kenya, Maimiru area. So people are losing their lives. People have been taken by these floods. We saw sometime back a bus was taken with by floods. This was a bus that contained people. We also had an incident where a bridge broke and busted. In Uganda in 2023, we had an incident. We have a bridge. It is called the Katonga. There is a river that is called the Katonga in Uganda. So actually, I normally pass through that place whenever I go back to the village. That bridge busted. So seeing busted bridges in Kenya, it is something that I had seen in Uganda some time back. This is a river where water has busted a bridge. And by the way, it caused a lot of commotions for travelers. I remember during that time I wanted to travel and to go and see my mom in the village. I spent almost 2 months without going to the village just because of that busted. And I guess even up to now they have not reconstructed this bridge. However, they created a way for people to pass. And what makes matters worse in Africa is whenever something is destroyed by a catastrophe, like for example floods that are of course that are going through East Africa. Whenever something is destroyed, it takes time for the government to reconstruct or renovate or even construct a new bridge or, of course, infrastructure. If a lot of roads have sunk into floods, a lot of roads have sunk into floods. So this has caused a lot of traffic in many African countries. This has, of course, has caused road difficulties in East Africa. So we see that East Africa has experienced unusually heavy rains. Like I said, this is not usual. Yes, we normally have actually rain between April and March, and actually at the beginning of July, we normally have rains, but this is unusually heavy. The rains are unusually heavy. They are heavy. So this has affected hundreds of thousands of people. So we see that, like I said, Kenya, at least 42 people lost their lives in central Kenya's Mayu areas after a dam burst. So the death toll may rise further. We see that if a lot of people are still dying in this dam burst, at this at this dam burst. So I'm talking about sorry for that interruption. I'm real sorry. So we see that East Africa, the heavy rains, of course, have of course impacted several countries, including Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and of course Burundi. And many people have been displaced, and dozens have died. So, talking about the whole of Africa, in recent weeks, we see that torrential rains have led to the death of over 111 people, including 16 children. Approximately 700,000 individuals have been displaced in the region, which includes Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya. So the Illinois climate phenomenon is contributing to the intensifying rainy season. So these floods are a grave of humanitarian crisis, and efforts to provide aid, relief, and support are crucial in this kind of catastrophe that is hit. We see that deadly rains and floods sweep cities across East Africa. So, down powers have killed at least 200 people and submerged homes and farms in Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, and Burundi. So, we see when you actually you try to Google, you try to see how, of course, these rains have have caused these catastrophes in different African countries, in different. Is now, to be sincere, let's look at that woman. Uh, uh, if if I'm looking well at this picture New York Times posted, we are seeing a young woman carrying that seems to be a sofa. That seems to be a sofa. They are carrying this. You see, even other places, other places, there are other things that have been destroyed by these rains. We see how these rains have put down everything, have destroyed and dismantled the houses of people in, of course, East Africa. So we see that floods caused by torrential rains destroyed a house of a Mathai, of course, shanty town in Nairobi, Kenya, on, of course, Thursday last week. So we see that at least 200 people were killed and dozens were injured across East Africa in recent days, official and aid groups said. So as torrential rains, floods, and landslides, of course, ill towns and cities in the region, already grappling with, of course, devastating effects of the climate change crisis and, of course, dilapidated infrastructure in poor areas. The extreme rains unleashed a wave of destruction across Tanzania, Kenya, Burundi, Uganda, and Uganda. So flooding homes, demolishing businesses, and leaving many people, of course, stranded on the rooftops. Of course, I've experienced this in Uganda. Whenever it rains, people go on roof. So the down powers exposed yet again the bad roads and the poor drainage system in some of the region's biggest cities, which residents have, of course, persistently complained about. They also revealed how poor people who live in the sprawling shanty towns without access to the proper roads, water, and power bear the biggest brand of destructive floods. So we see that activists and, of course, opposition figures across the region call the governments to do more than respond to the extensive destruction route of floods by improving infrastructure to lessen and prevent such flooding in the place again. So we see that in Kenya, we see whenever we have catastrophes in East Africa or in Africa, we try to see a lot of opposition leaders, a lot of activists coming out to blame the government not to have done enough, of course, to combat such incidences if at all they happen. Anyway, if at all they happen. So in Kenya, we see Laila Odinga, a long-time opposition figure in Kenya, said authorities should learn from ongoing devastating and take long-term measures to save lives, because a lot of people have died in Kenya. Recently, over 42 people have recorded to have died in the in the bastard dam. So you see that preparedness is a key to forward, of course, stalling a crisis of larger proportions, Mr. Odinga said in the news conference. We can do better than crying for hope when the rains come and crying for help again when it fails again. So in Tanzania, at least 155 people were killed and 236. This is a big number here. This is extremely a big number. 155 people were killed in Tanzania. That is Tanzania only, and over 236 others were injured by the relentless rain that has swept several parts of the country in the recent days. So we see that the rains had affected some 200,000 people and heavily damaged farms, bridges, roads, schools, and places of worship. So about 10,000 of homes in Tanzania were also damaged to varying degrees. And of course, very many people were displaced in the process. So, um, we see that the heavy downpour affected informal settlements in, of course, the Temeke and the Irara districts, which are part of the commercial port city of Dar es Salaam. So some roads were also submerged and temporarily closed in, of course, Das Jangwin, out of course, Mwakwajuni and Kigogo neighborhoods, all of which are prone to floods. We see that parts of, of course, Morongoro Road, which leads into the central part of the city, were also underwater, leading to the suspension of rapid bus network. So, Um, this is something that is, of course, extremely serious. I've seen very many roads being destroyed live on camera in Uganda by floods. I've seen I've seen I've seen a lot of roads being destroyed in Uganda because of floods. I've seen a lot of houses being swept. I've seen a lot of people dying in these floods, dying in this, of course, dying in this water. And besides people being swept, this water carries a lot of it carries a lot of diseases. Talking about bilharzia, talking about cholera, which is of course the most uh, all right, all right. So um So Tanzania Meteorological Authority, of course, has warned that heavy rains and strong winds would continue to permeate several parts of the country in the coming days. So in Kenya, at least 45 people have died, and at least 27 others have been injured since March, when the rainfall season known in the country as the long rains began. We see that flooding has so far killed 40,000 livestock, destroyed of course 27,000 acres of crops, and damaged 22 roads. So, we see that more than 66,000 people have been displaced in nationwide, and of course, uh, the intense rainfall has affected 26 of the Kenya's 47 counties. So, in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, where some of the country's heaviest rain has fallen, more than 30,000 people have been displaced, according to the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. We see that The people that have been affected, these people include children, and of course, who are seen stranded and looking for hope. Uh, Even some middle income and wealthy pubs in Nairobi were damaged by the deluge, with some ground floor apartments and homes engulfed by floods. So, this is something that is serious. It is no longer joke. And fun enough, rains, when it comes to rains, rain doesn't know whether you're rich, whether you're poor. Rain doesn't understand whether the leader has been in power for 30 years, for 70 years. Rain doesn't know that. Rain doesn't know that you ate in the morning, you ate breakfast. Rain doesn't know shit. Rain doesn't know whether you're married or not. Rain doesn't know whether you're a mad person or you're not. Rain doesn't know whether you're a landlord or, of course, a tenant. Rain doesn't know shit. Rain doesn't know. Rain doesn't, for it just downpours. It just rains. So, um, uh, like these are some of the things that happen where no one can, of course, escape. Yes, a rich man can escape taxes by evading. A rich man can escape um, uh, uh, anything, but a rich man cannot escape rains. When it rains and it is time for floods, you can't escape. However, we call upon our governments in Africa to do, of course, to prepare for such incidents as if at all they happen. Yes, today we are seeing rains. We are seeing too much rains today, but we don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen at the end of these rains. We had 2020, we had COVID-19 in Africa. It affected almost the entire world, but we still have people that are still going through um, the trauma. We still have people that are still being, of course, affected by what COVID-19 brought here in Africa. These are the same catastrophes we see because rains prevent someone to move. Rains prevent someone to go and buy medicine if at all is sick. Rain stop floods will stop someone from going to the garden. And people have invested in garden. Yes, people had, of course, learned something from COVID-19. People had started growing up crops for their survival and, of course, some for commercial. People had started acquiring and, of course, rearing livestock. And all of these things are that they're now being taken by the rains, by the floods. So, what is next? Very many people are affected by this system, starting from the president of the country to the last citizen of the country. So we call upon African governments, East African governments, and all those countries. We know that rains have also affected Horn of Africa to prepare for these catastrophes if at all they happen. That yes, we have had floods. This is how we handle floods, and all things move on. So this is not like Dubai, UAE, where we saw like floods were like floating on water, like sank into water. So um uh, uh, we see that the heavy rains forced Kenya Railway to suspend commuter train services. So the Kenya Urban Roads Authority partly closed the four major roads in Nairobi and warned the heavy flooding along several major heavyways in the capital and in the coastal city of Mombasa. So water, of course, indicted several, of course, counties around Lake Victoria in, of course, Western Kenya, and aid groups said uh, flooding also swept entire roads in, of course, Makos County, about 35 miles southeast of Nairobi. So we see that President William Ruto of Kenya led an emergency meeting aimed at responding to the floods. We see that Mr. Ruto said government agencies were undertaking joint operations to assist the victims, conduct rescues, and evacuate those who remained at the risk of. Mr. Ruto also said he asked the military to support the operation. So, as in Tanzania, we see that the rains in Key were not expected to subside over the next few days, according to the meteorological department, which had rain in the forecast for parts of the country, including Nairobi. We see that the agents also warned of the high likelihood of the breakouts of the diseases such as malaria in some areas. So we need to put everyone on alert. So allow me share for you this photo. You look at how, of course, rains are doing in, of course, in Africa and in East Africa in general. This is Kenya, Tanzania, Burundi, and of course some parts of Horn of Africa. They are also being affected by the same issue. So this is an issue for the entire Africa. So these are, of course, these are houses, these are residential places for people. Yeah, these are residential places for people. I'm saying this one might even be a school. This is a church. So this is something that is serious. So in simple terms, where did the people that lived in this area go? Where did the people that used to pray from this church here go? Where did the students that, of course, started from this school go? I'm seeing a school, I'm seeing a church, I'm seeing different residential areas that are even fenced. Where are these people living from? Because these floods are too much. If at all a flood, of course, floods up to the window. What do you expect? How can you live in such a house if at all a flood extends uh, meters towards the window? So um, we see that floods and landslides have also devastated Burundi, where since last month we see the rising waters of Lake Tanganyika have pushed residents to abandon their homes. So we see that the latest downpour, uh, uh, come just months after the torrential rains. And of course, floods killed dozens of people and displaced thousands more across the East African region. So, climate scientists, of course, said those rains, along with the preceding devastating droughts, this is something that I was talking about, were of course exacerbated by the climatic change. Um, this is actually something that I also I think that it might happen after the end of this heavy rains. We may experience serious droughts. Remember, crops have been swept away. Remember, livestock has been killed by these rains, has been swept. And again, we experience floods at the end because whenever it rains too much, we expect too much sunshine too. So, um, so rains. It is a serious issue in East Africa. So a lot of people have been affected, and most of the people that have been affected, like I said, these are the people that are, of course, are staying in cities. These are people that have been affected too much. So These of course, those are some of the people. You see people, the city is there, is just up there. We see water flooding. We see like floods. So look at people. People are fighting. People are struggling with the rain. You see this young man here. People fighting with the rains. People fighting with the rains for real. And actually, this one looks like a road. This one here looks like a road. It looks like a real road. So, sorry. So you can look at how, of course, rains have affected Kenya and how people, of course, have been affected in this. Uh, Let me play this video so that you can look at, for real, yeah, and look at this area, how trees have been swept. Look at how trees have been swept, how land has been swept in Kenya. These are some of the places where people have been swept, where, of course, agriculture land has been swept. And actually, you see that we see even tractors that are, of course, that are still draining out people in this. We see dozens of people in southern Kenya being affected by of course, this kind of rains that are, of course, rain. Uh, Weeks, of course, of heavy rains and deadly floods, of course, have devastated the region, whereby we see that more rainfall is expected, of course, according to the Kenya Meteorological Department. So Kenyans should be, even Kenyans, not only Kenyans, but even Ugandans and other East African countries should be, of course, ready for this coming catastrophe that is going. Those are some of the people that, of course, are being affected by that are recorded by the floods. People that have been affected, people that have been hit by, of course, buildings, by trees, and, of course, falling debris of land, where, of course, where of course, different where rains, of course, have been going on, of course, Kenya and other areas. So looking up at that, someone may think that it is an accident. Someone may think that it is an accident, but those are people that, of course, were affected by the incident in Sorry. The people were affected by the incident uh, in Kenya, but we see that the wedda njogera mukama obifunye. Mu so we see that very many people, of course, are being affected. Very many people have died in this. very many people have been displaced banamuleke kutoka. So which so so you see that people are dying. People have been, of course, affected in this.
Onayafudde.
mulwadde masiga byebiiso.
A lot of people have actually not only have been injured but also lost their lives, and it's very crazy. There are some videos that I saw, by the way, of recent, and um, um, they're about the floods in Kenya, and you could see how desperate a lot of Africans are really, because there are some people who went to the turn of death with their eyes open. There is a flood. They are seeing that the river has flooded. People around tell them you cannot cross there. And because probably there is a lot, I don't know, because when it comes to poverty, at times people forget that there is life beyond their imaginations. And you would see people over a car that is overloaded, people on top and also inside, others even sitting on the windows, but they're trying as much as possible to make sure that they cross. I don't know the reason why they'll be so overloaded on cars. Do they believe that if the car is overloaded, it won't be washed by the floods? I don't know. I don't know, but there is a video there I was seeing yesterday, and I was like, why is this happening? Apparently, that the river is flooding, you cannot cross, and at the end, you see this overloaded car, overloaded not only with things but with human beings. And most of them were men, actually. You see them fall straight into the water and they drown. Because the moment that car overturns, the speed of the water cannot even allow the rescuers to help you. First of all, how many people are they going to rescue? And you would even find these very people falling in this water don't even know how to swim. And people who are overloaded in these cars don't even have life jackets. And they are crossing with their eyes open.
Yeah, those people, like, like most of the time, those people, Babeda, they are the owners of those stocks. Yeah, yeah. Bubatikuzi. Yeah. How do you mean like those like those kind of jobs like aba those kind of games of good yeah. So yeah. Nenga like more like those who look like young people, those are the people that engage like in that business. I wonder like people who do that business, they are young.
But
Yeah, they are
that is
young
much
and they have
money.
money. Yeah, they are young and they have money. That's what they do. Ate abasinga b'eyo Masaka, K. Williams.
Masaka wali amatooke mangi ennaku zino.
Bagenda ne bagasuubula naye gasinga Kyazanga because Kyazanga is like Masaka. Like Kyazanga is not part of Bangkok.
And they stole it.
Kyazanga is like it's part of Uganda. Most of the people get it from Kyazanga and some parts of Ankole because a lot of matoke is in Ankole.
Yeah, I know.
A lot. Naye abantu balina ensupu awo.
Of course, Kel Williams has just joined us. My name is Kel Williams, thank you so much for joining our live. Yeah, we are talking about the floods. Today, by the way, it rained. Now, Maria, you guys are always eating. It's only me. I'm eating a guava. Yeah, I'm eating a guava. I love eating fruits, and I don't know. The time I'm here is the only time that we are resting. At times we are doing a lot of things, and we have no time of eating. Really.
But Kelly Williams are taking some time without
But I was eating.
I was saying. No, that's what we joke.
So, like today, it rained heavily here.
I heard about those floods. 200 people died over there. Why? Yeah, what would the people have died of this?
Of course, Kawura was asking what have they done about it. I've seen Kenyans like complain. First of all, they don't have like many rescue helicopters. Or at least we would think that's the only thing that can rescue. Probably maybe I don't know if boats can walk on or over.
Even emergency fund, there is no emergency. Like people that have been affected, like in areas where people have been affected, emergencies come after the rains have stopped. It's not like fire, like fire.
No, that one cannot be called emergency.
They come after fires stop.
And we saw others who are killed by electricity. And it was crazy. And again, the kind of buildings.
They have 999. I've been sharing some of the videos of those people.
The structure, their houses. I told you about last time. You know, like here we have ghettos. Yeah, I know. But even when you reach Nairobi, like here where someone builds a house and you will find they have left space. Check it out. Now there is a space that differentiates or separates INNOSSETU's house from mine. Now, in most of when you reach like Nairobi, amaimba gonage kote. Check it out. Or what I'm going zimbira kisenge change. All right. They hardly have that. No lagana mayumba. There is even still toward space.
People have priorities. But like I was. What are
ndifuna kutonda sina gyetwala sina gyetwala. So in Ate, I feel like though we have seen a lot children's center, home, Star Academy stuff. Oh God. But this has been too much. People have lost a lot. I've also seen some other
That is the terrible. People lost their homes
and
and everything.
what's that? They lost their homes and everything. It's true. Look at the houses. I'm sharing that.
Mm.
Oh, I'm sharing it. Look at the floods. Now you're someone otandikiraku zero. Animals have died in the farms. There are some people who've been having their small farms, others have been rearing animals now. You have lost everything in your house, your capital, the animals you've been rearing, where you apparently get some money, the stock, the farms have been swept away by floods. You can see, like this one has been, I think, they have been paddocking or something, this side here. And bacha amabati galinavundu nnyo bwe gati tugamba kuliko amakadde n'amapya bagazimba bwe batyo.
It is too much corruption in this world. They don't care.
They don't really care because people were like they were expecting to see rescue and no one was coming. People were supposed to rescue themselves. Na bizibu byafunye
Ndabalirawo wansi awo.
ab'omutebe TV badduka nazo zebafuluma nazo.
And by the way, whenever such things happen, like a lot of people use this as an advantage to steal people.
Bayinza osolooza n'ebyo bya plastic tebyonoonese nnyo ne kati agatebe ako. From Friday the 13th, trying to get in. Kati bano baba bali hiti bintu biba byamukubye like cars ono yafunye flood wali eri ettaka. I've seen cars bolaba ku TikTok otya. Do you know cars turning motoka ejjudde abantu loole neyika mazzi buno taxi ntwala abantu and they all fell in water. Williams, what? You want to go some? So we have had these floods and then the landslides, of course, that come after these floods after the soil has been softened. After the soil has been softened and of course it tends to sink and at times sweep or it covers the people. We have had landslides, but I guess this is mud. mudslide. And this case for this time, when you hear about such kind of situations just across here in, of course, Kenya, as someone living in Uganda, I get a little bit scared. Kati, like the rain that rained today, and it rained for a very long time. Mungeni any funny. When it's going to flood, at times you would not notice. It rains, you will think it is the usual thing. Kumbe, it is raining in huge quantity and amount, and you will be, and it rains for a long time. So mukoka yeneri ebweru ali mukubo. That trench out there was filled and the water was flooded. You can say that again. But we know that atentiana kaluma watyangirisa zolula kafu. And got a motor going to the day, mother. So with this flooding actually that is happening, you can see how weak Africa's governments are, because we are expecting to see people trying to rescue others day and night. Check it out. We expected to see an immediate response. And I think people are supposed to, of course, have studied all the things. Police have to start the rescue. The soldiers have, the military has to, and then the fire. Mm. And then I've not seen a lot. I've not seen the Kenyan fire, of course, department getting so much involved, because with these floods, we've seen a lot of electricity that was, of course, causing shocks and circuits, and some houses have even been burnt. We are seeing some fuse and smoke from electricity. We've seen electrical poles that have been immersed in water up to the extent of the wires, the connecting wires, and which is a little bit funny, really, that we were expecting, because when such instances happen, we expect to see the fire department, Church Soka, because we expect them to fight the fire, because usually there is always a fire outbreak when such kind of scenarios happen. I don't know the lives of these people that are being recorded dead. I'm not sure whether these people have lost their lives while in the houses, or they have lost their lives while trying to cross. All right. I'm thinking, I've not, maybe even these people they are trying to record, they haven't realized how many people maybe have remained, because the water is still on a very higher volume. So we may still have cases of people who have died in those houses, who weren't able to escape the flood, and so on. So
the people of They must take stand and leave that religion and tribalism stuff alone.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, but of course we've seen a lot of people trying to rescue others. Osekela?
Mm. Who's that? What is
Uh,
funny, guys?
Alimusekela Kono. We were watching. He wanted to share a video, which, of course, I told him that we might be blocked by Keith if he shares that, and it's about the flood. So he was like you had forgotten, and we made a little fun about it. Um, but like I was trying to respond to your comment, Ken Williams, that we've seen at times when we have issues like this, we see a lot of Africans, more especially the local people, trying to come together. Sorry, we see a lot of people trying to come together. And let me hope you are hearing me now, Ken Williams. I hope we are audible. Um,
Again.
mm, we try to see a lot of people coming together, mm, trying to rescue. Alright. Mhm. I was saying, I was trying to respond to Ken Williams. Yeah, I know of the tribalism and all that, but when it comes to such kind of issues of emergency, really, we realize there is still that
Rain is
African
rain
relationship
still
between
is
us.
still is rain and emergence because we have they call the meteorologists that forecast rain, whether it is going to rain and of course at which degree. Is it still an emergence?
It
Is
is.
it,
It is because first of all,
if I don't rain,
the ones in Africa have never been correct in most cases, and I think at times they wouldn't even know the volume
mm,
of the rainfall. Except that if you're going to have, we know that there are seasons when we have such kind of rains. For example, when we detect that we are going to start having landslides, they know the seasons of landslides that happen in Mbale. And whenever that time comes, they start to evacuate people because they know within that time, when the rain rains for a certain duration, usually Mbale is going to experience mud or landslides. So I'm not this is an emergency. I'll call it an emergency cause usually people will tell us it's going to rain tomorrow and it doesn't rain. That's why usually they say there is a probability.
Mm.
All right, there is a probability of experiencing this amount of rainfall, and yeah, then the probability is this and that. All right, because at times it is not as they predict. But back to responding to Kerr Williams about the tribalism. I know this is so huge and religion stuff is so huge, but in kind of moments, actually, we've seen Africans coming together. We've seen a lot of people, they don't even care who they are rescuing, what tribe this person is. I think this is the best time that we see Africans being Africans, no matter in such kind of occasions. I have not seen a scenario where an African or a religious person is neglecting the other because probably the person is covering their head with a veil as Muslims, or the other one is doing the other, or probably it seems to be of a specific tribe. But we see a lot of people trying to come up together to, of course, help and save lives of strangers. But at that time, you know, this is your brother, this is your sister. And I think the verge of death unites a lot of people. You understand? So I will say about that. But one thing we need is to have our leaders. Let me call them politicians because we've not had leaders in Africa for some good time now. At least focus on such kind of things before even you talk about anything, because as you talk about progress, I want to develop my country's agricultural sector, a mining sector, whatever it is. If you don't prepare for such kind of moments, that means you're planning for nothing. Because what if you plan it well and this happens? How many billions are you going to lose? So, as you plan for the economy of a country and the progress of a country, the country should be prepared for such kind of scenarios. You know, I was expecting to see a lot of people being evacuated, but we are seeing local people trying to help each other. Others are moving up on the rooftops. People are not having safety gears. Someone who has those safety gears is trying to help the other cross over. They are passing through rooftops, which may even be rotten. Someone can even fall in the water. People have no safety gears. Some people have no shoes in their legs. We are seeing the electricity sparkling over there. So there is a lot of commotion and a lot of exposure to death because people are just hoping, and qualified or unprofessional people are rescuing others. All right. You want a guava? You want a guava? Hmm. So, like I've said, it would be so painful to lose the vigilantes, other people who are trying to look out for others in the say oil in the name of rescuing others. Of course, a lot of people have lost their lives because we are trying as much as possible to rescue others. Now, I know this is not the first time we have had the floods in Africa, and or in Nairobi and other places, um, or most places. But the governments have not prepared themselves for this kind of catastrophes. Now, if you know that at least in a year you experience, and it is a must for the floods, all right, because it is. There is no year that we have not seen floods in Africa or in Kenya. So if Kenyan government knows that each year we experience floods, why not prepare? You say that? Why not prepare for these kind of situations? All right, because you know this is something that is inevitable and it's going to happen whether you like it or not. Then why don't you prepare for this moment? So we have seen that, like I said, the videos where we see a lot of course, civilians rescuing others, which is fine. I would rescue actually if I was the one in their places, but we are losing other people who wouldn't have died in this very scenario, more especially those people who are running out to rescue. And like I was trying to say, someone is trying to rescue someone else, they are moving. Hey, hapo tunalaba kazi kugwamu. And
Nera, do you know what it means by water sweeping away a car, like it is sweeping a polythene bag like that? Ebitwala ne bikuba ewantu ng'etwala
nemenya buli
normal
kimu,
kasasiro.
mirrors and all stuff. And I think some people were deciding to crowd on the car, thinking that they will increase on the weight. So ate kaa tebagikola kabbali, eramu ebituli ebiyikiza amazzi. Yali yagezeeko tuseka. Yagezeeko twaseka.
Kanyeze. So this is something that is extremely that is extremely huge for Africa. Like Maria was, of course, trying to say that it is not something that is at all the money they steal, and they are not prepared for nothing prepared. K. Williams, when these people, the money they steal, they just keep it for themselves. They just keep it for themselves, not for the benefit of the country. They create new accounts in of course, they create accounts in foreign countries, and that's what they do. Nothing else for African people. Because for me, like a government known to be having something that can of course combat a catastrophe, let it be of any nature. K. Williams said that all the money they steal, they are not prepared.
They are not, because we have seen civilians or people who are not actually qualified to save doing this. Someone is on top of someone is on a rooftop and is rescuing another. They are barefoot because they are afraid of sleeping off the rooftop. They have no slippers, no shoes. They are walking barefoot. The roof, the iron sheets are cold. They are wet. The electricity is sparkling up. There are wires crossing through the iron sheets, and somebody is trying to move, rescuing another. They don't know they're going to have a shock. They don't know even the electricity that these wires that are fallen on the rooftops can even, kill them. All they are aiming at is trying to make sure that they rescue another. And like I've said, it is not the first time that we are having floods. If you know that at a given time, you see, even the tradition Africans were prepared than these recent Africans we have now, because they knew at a given time, a given time in a year, we experience this kind of thing. All right. So people know that when that time comes, we either move from that place, we move, and that's why we have people moving. So they knew we either move from that place to wait until that season is done, or we prepare ourselves with indoor food and stuff like that. If it's gonna be drought, they prepare for that. If it's gonna be a duration of no food, they stock their food and they prepare.
And that's why they had
And
granaries
that's why
also.
they had granaries and everything. But now we are looking at a modern Africa, which doesn't even know what to do. All
And by
right.
the way, during Amini's time, we had national granaries.
Mm.
Remember, I mean, they kept
Mm.
food.
That they were giving out to people
Mm,
whenever we had issues. You understand?
mm,
So we are having people, of course, we no longer have national granaries.
mm,
We had that in Uganda during the days of Amin, just like Innocent was saying. We used to store food in Uganda. Amin was preparing for such kind of scenarios that if something happens to my people, they will be able to eat. I'm not getting a loan, or I'm not getting a loan from somebody else to make sure that my people feed. He was prepared for this kind of moment. Now we are having people, we are having some other usual people bring their old clothes. Like if I'm having kids and I know I don't want their clothes anymore, I just pack them to take them to give out to people who have lost their clothes in these floods. And some other who said, if you have bread, bring bread and stuff. The entire country is starving. The prices of bread has been hiked. All right, it has hiked. So if how much are the people or the citizens going to afford to make sure that they have rescued these people who have of course experienced this unfortunate situation? We expect to see in such kind of situations, we expect to see like boards, all right, with the professionals, with the life jackets. Like I said, watch out to wear a life jacket in such kind of places, because like I said, this is not the first time the floods are hitting this particular area. So it is known that it is like here when it rains, you say, now the people in Katanga. All right.
rice.
You just say, it has rained. Now the people in Why? So because we know when it rains, the people around that area usually experience that terrible moment, floods, water comes in and stuff. Everybody knows that. So isn't the government capable of issuing life jackets to such kind of people? Because a time when it starts raining, we are going to experience floods. Even a normal person, even now it was raining, and I was supposed to go to the market before, of course, so to came live. We were like here because I was heading down there. There is a huge market there. So I said I have to wear some gumboots and stuffs because it rained hard. And we were like, damn, it must be flooding. It must be so muddy over there. So I went to the market when I'm prepared, because I know, and I found when the place was so muddy, there was a lot of water. But because I knew when it is this season, that place is always like that. So if at all we receive a scenario, not once, twice, thrice, and you are still not prepared for this very occasion, or let me not call it occasion,
All right.
for this, if you are not prepared for this kind of, scenario, then why? No, then why? There is no excuse to this, really. Robert Williams, it has been long. Yeah. It has
Yeah, I
been
see
one.
Robin in a while. You're right. It's been a while. Good
Mm,
afternoon. Good afternoon, there, Seto and Maria. How you guys doing?
we are
Good.
fine.
Alright.
Very, very. It
Yeah.
has been raining here, cats and dogs.
Oh, okay, so ain't nobody. Hold on. We about to find out. Is it gonna be flooding with Uganda people up on the rules and boats and people drowning, Maria?
No,
Are we gonna see that
no,
in Uganda too?
no, we haven't seen that yet.
Okay, all right.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's truly embarrassing situation that's happening in Kenya and Tanzania because it's it's the government's response, the lack of, like you said, the lack of preparation.
So people are using boards. It has also happened in Burundi. So we may experience this here. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know, but
And whenever floods hit, they hit like the areas that are affected so much. These are the town areas, the urban areas.
mm.
I don't know whether most of the African cities they were built in swamp areas or they just reclaimed.
But do you
Uh,
know the entire of Kampala is in a swamp? The entire the whole of Kampala is seated on water. It is in swampy areas. The whole of Kampala. So if shit happens, oh. But there is a way people here try to build their houses.
mm,
I think they're always preparing for that. And
I once visited a friend in Boise. That is one of the areas that are terrible whenever it comes to water. They have long beds with with long legs. Yeah, because whenever it rains, rain just like the floods just pass under the bed.
this is what I'm
Look
saying.
at this one.
And
You just
I've
you just use a boat to the
amakundi
house. Mm,
genda gye nawulidde ng'enku
mm. Kuta kyagisindise
nakikola
obadde ateekayo bulungi.
sorry.
Mm.
And there is banayirengera bantu
What's
ugamba
that Kenya
buganda
right
Sorry.
there, guys? What's that Kenya?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people suffering and dying and drowning, and the government response has been absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think the main airport is now went under, guys. I think the main airport, Jomo Kenyatta Airport, is now experiencing blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, funny part about it, it's called the Jomo International Airport, but the Kenyans don't own it. The British own that shit. But it's experiencing blackouts now.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
So so please don't fly into Kenya right now while it's raining. They got no power. You might crash. Don't fly into Kenya right now. They don't got no power, Maria. It's
If you
zero.
shall look outside, then it's gonna be it just was
Mm.
mm-hmm.
You guys must just started, huh? When I first came in, Maria wasn't even in here yet. You guys went from zero. Now you guys got 378 people in here. In two. That was quick.
You come around. Well, okay. I remember to them say I had something to say. Some ago, a comment. Robert Williams says the government has really let the people down. It's their
Yeah.
job to get um, to get this fixed. Can you say where the wars? I would Robert Williams for sure. I would say that where the wars is a typical answer to what is happening now. Um, you know, Africa. Okay, you are right. Those two are always eating.
Yeah.
What? No, we are not eating. Are we eating? Innocent is not. I'm eating a guava. Some
Grasshoppers.
other people be drinking.
Okay, right.
Mhm. Um, the weather was is a typical identification of these floods that are actually happening. There was a flood where we experienced. There was
Push.
a year where we experienced a very terrible flood and storm in Zimbabwe,
Mm.
and this was extremely huge and a scenario that Zimbabwe has never experienced before. And of course, they named it a certain a certain name. Of course, I don't know how they came up with the name, but whatever. But we know that the weather in Africa now is being, of course, tempered with. Check it out. Uh, we
Of
saw
course.
recently how in Dubai made the clouds and all that rain and all
But
that.
but Dubai did
Um,
but the Dubai did it themselves with their stupid asses. They tampered with weather too much and it flooded a year's worth of rain in Dubai in a day. But
mhm,
they were responsible for it. But you see their cleanup, their
mhm,
response to their mess up has been better than Kenya. Kenya's these African puppets, these despots, do not know
mhm,
how to be in government because
mhm,
even though Dubai was responsible, it was stupid. They they were the ones that caused all that rain in Dubai in one day, and everything got flooded. But their response was admirable because they responded like a real government is supposed to. Even though they caused it, didn't nobody die over there because the government response was comparable to the disaster. Even though, even though I don't know if this is man-made or not, what's happening in Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania, I wouldn't. If I research, it probably is man-made. Some probably it's always something nefarious going on, but the response is still what Maria and Seth are showing right here on the response. African people deserve better than this from their government.
in Africa, Tanzania.
Oh, that's Tanzania right there, Maria.
Mm.
So shout out to that puppet lady who who, who didn't do shit with the floods.
Hmm. Anyway, so those two are always eating. I will stop eating. I expect to see proper infrastructure, drainage, and reservoirs to channel overflow. This was ridiculous. The same occurs in parts of the U.S. Um, this is exactly. I was trying to talk to. I was trying to, of course, exchange a few about the scenarios with Innosetu. I was like, I'm not seeing drainage. I'm not seeing a lot of drainage systems in those places. And actually, I've not seen a lot of drainage systems in Nairobi. I've not seen a
Yeah,
lot of them.
yeah. Because you haven't seen them because they're not there. That's why. That's why you haven't seen them, Maria. They don't exist.
Uh,
You can't see what doesn't exist, Maria.
Maybe they are in other places. Maybe I've not reached other places, but I've not seen many of them. And like I was trying to say, I was explaining to Innocent that today we're here and it started raining. And we are all inside, so we didn't expect the rain to be huge. But as I came out of the gate, I realized that there was a flooding because we have a drainage system close. It helped us that the water did not enter the houses, and soon we saw the roads clear. Check it out. So because we had that drainage system, and
How
the
about
whole
that?
water,
How
so
about that?
I was explaining to Nessa that I even came back. I told him, "Did you know even the drainage flooded and there was water on the road?" He was like, "Really?" We didn't even see anything because of that drainage that is next to our house and the road. And I don't see a lot of these drainage systems, by the way, in Nairobi. I really don't know why. Like I was trying to say, there is a lot of I'm sorry, but I feel like they are so greedy with the land that even
Yeah.
every tiniest piece someone wants to construct, and they forget about security. And I was even trying to tell Innocent to when you're here in Uganda, of course, everyone has land. Land in Uganda belongs to the people. If I have my land and Innocent has a land next to mine, if I construct a house, I'm supposed to leave certain some meters from for some meters from Innosetu's land to mine, and you leave that space. And Innosetu also, as he's going to construct his house, the law says that you are supposed to leave a space. But I don't see this in Nairobi. You find like the houses are so close to each other, and at times you think they belong to only one person because they don't have that fragmentation. They don't fragment.
No. They
And I
built
think,
they built on top of each other, Maria. It's bad city planning. It's bad. It was never planned. Nairobi never had city planning, so you got, like you said, you got structures built on top of structures. You're right.
yeah. So if at all that there is that greed that someone doesn't even want to, of course, construct a drainage system that is going to that or the drainage channel that is going to help with the overflow. Somebody still wants to construct something there where we should have a drainage, of course, being constructed. Then what do you expect? That means the water will have nowhere to go,
Go, exactly.
not have to hit the houses to create way. And you find even the rivers, people have even constructed that. So it's kind of crazy, really. And we have these Chinese now who are even constructing in
So,
swamps where we
Exactly.
our water
Yeah,
to
these
be.
Chinese are constructing it, but you got no. As Jimmy was telling them on the other show about environmental individuals who come back and actually look at the construction and see whether it's feasible for the weather conditions. You don't control your road system. The Chinese do. And so they're not building, like you're saying, Maria, systems that have drainage with it. They don't give a shit. It's not their people on that shit drowning and dying. They don't care. So now you
Mhm.
got people building your roads that are building them improperly because they only worry about getting paid the most money for the cheapest road. They're not,
Mhm.
they're not building you great roads. They're building you the cheapest roads for the most money. That's why you find all these calamities happening in Africa. You don't control your road system. You got people
Mm.
that hate you building you roads. That
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense. That people hate you building your road. You wonder why your roads are flooded and shit. You ain't figured it out?
You can imagine, and they don't really care.
No. It's like,
And
just
I'm
like,
not.
you know? And you know they don't care about you because everywhere they go, they try to set up their own little spaces in your country and tell you that you cannot come in some place in your country that they built. They try to build their own little Chinese shit in your country and then tell you you can't come in there. And they're in your country. They've done that all. They tried that scam all throughout Africa. So they don't care about you. Go ahead, Maria.
Um, this last time I was even trying to talk about the construction of roads. First of all, not in every area. A road cannot be constructed in anywhere.
What's
There
not?
should
Not good.
they have to follow protocols. That's one, and also get to realize this road it fits this area, and this kind of area deserves a specific kind of road. You understand? But I think first of all, the Chinese don't even really know what goes around Africa. We have a place where they constructed as you are heading to INNOSSETU's village. Yeah, they
Yeah.
constructed. There is a certain road that they constructed. If you look at it, it is extremely slippery.
Mm,
Let's check it out.
mm,
We've had a lot of accidents.
mm,
First of all, you look at the country like Uganda, where our biggest population of people cannot afford brand new cars. Most of the people are using second-hand cars, all right? And the tires people are using
That,
cannot even
that's all.
run,
That's all in Africa. That's
all
not just
right?
Uganda.
You construct this road, which is just as smooth as a carpet, all right? And then a lot of cars be slipping away from the road, hitting the swamps, hitting the bushes, people dying because and there are not even humps on that road, and I usually then the road is extremely slippery, more especially when it rains.
mm.
And the times you see people, the cars slipping off the road and hitting the swamps. Now you cannot construct before even you construct a specific road. Get to understand the kind of users. Get to understand the machines that are used on this road. What kind of cars, all right? And where is this road heading? But I think Chinese just wake up and decide. And usually, you will understand that these people, where they construct a road, they have interest. Now, if you look at this kind of place, Masaka, where the Chinese constructed this road, they had an interest there. And we are seeing how they have, of course, cleared apparently everything. They have built even their small industries there, and they're trying to construct carpets that even other people here do construct. And the funniest thing when they are constructing shit, they will put let me say they will put something like a billboard that shows they are constructing an extremely
Unique.
a unique thing, but behind that billboard they are manufacturing things that even the local people manufacture, which is crazy. And
They did mining of sand.
and mining of sand. They are clearing all the water bodies. Mining a sand, ne flag, ne
Mm,
clay.
mm,
So I think we are going to be experiencing these floods for a very long time until we address these issues and get to understand why we are having these floods. One, how how can we overcome these floods? I know, like of course, I don't know that it was Kawion who said it is a weather war, all right. And this is really going to affect because I hardly hear a lot of African leaders addressing this kind of calamities. I hardly hear them address. Um, Let me say, for example, the scenario in we usually listen to the current president of Kenya, of course, talking about modernity and embracing economical growth and development. There can never be economical growth in a country when it is experiencing this kind of situation. All
Exactly.
right, because this is a huge setback. It is the people who develop the economy of a country. And if people are experiencing this huge setback, then how are you going to, of course, give us a guarantee? Now you can look at the foodstuffs, and this is a lorry carrying foodstuffs, carrying a lot of things, and it is drowning. We have seen livestock dying. We have seen farms flooding, and crops have perished in the water. How are you going to talk about controlling the economy without, of course, trying to overcome this kind of conditions? All right, I don't expect to see unprofessional people trying to aid others out. All right, I was expecting to see a lot of like the fire department, the police, the
Exactly.
military.
Exactly right. You talking about the response? There was supposed to be a proper response, Maria, and you didn't see it.
And it is very funny whenever we have such kind of issues in Africa. Actually, the response usually comes after
Africa,
everything
that's
has
what.
calmed down. It doesn't make sense. Is that really a response? You are waiting for
No,
the flood to calm down. Then what are you serving?
no, it's not a
Right?
response.
That's not response. And somebody will say, now we have given you a tank, we have built you a toilet. We say we want to poop. People are not even eating. So you're putting a toilet rather than trying to save their lives, or the people who have been dying in the floods. Now your people will bring a tank, and now this is a toilet. We helped you to poop here. You cannot be poop. You cannot poop in the water and stuff. Are we going to poop there when there are no people? People are dying in the floods. Yes, I know we have.
Kenya told them, can you imagine, instead of helping the people, the government of Kenya said move to higher grounds. Move to higher grounds where? Where am I supposed to go?
Mhm.
Go, what are we talking about? Move to what higher ground?
And the high grounds were sinking. We saw that the mudslides, the landslides after that, of course, that happens on high grounds. When the water has been absorbed underneath the soil, it sinks. They cannot be telling people to move on the higher grounds. Does everyone know how to swim? And even if you do, how long are you going to swim?
That's what I said. Where they gonna sleep outside with the wild animals? Where am I supposed to sleep at? I move to higher ground. Where am I supposed to stay? We sound
All
crazy.
the animals are living from the floods.
Move to higher grounds and go sleep with the wild animals so the goddamn lions and the hyenas can get my ass. What are you talking about? Sound crazy. See, people.
Look at that. But what you know going on
Let me get
there?
out. Let me get a shout out to all 600. Give a shout out to all 637 people in the chat room. Welcome.
But she has that sugar daddy.
Oh,
Hello,
oh
yeah.
shit.
I don't have a sugar daddy. Do you take a boat to higher grounds? That is insulting. A traffic survey or study for patterns and capacity. Exactly.
It is insulting.
It's pure madness in not building drainage systems. True. Of course, Ken Williams, Maria, send me some of that food. I forgot my lunch. I'm not eating food. I'm eating a guava. It's a fruit. So I'm eating a guava. I'm not eating food.
Fruit is still food, Maria. What you talking about? Guava is food.
Well, for us, we don't call that food. Babijjanja babulya byokka. Kyakumba ekijanja kye n'akiwuuta. Yena.
Abazungu.
Kirina bbirira konva.
Soup is soup. It must be accompanied with food. Actually, we call food, we call egundi. It's like okay, ugali stuff. Food, we call that food. So if they tell you, you bring that food inside, this is a family, they tell you.
Yeah. Food is the one we cook on fire for us here in Africa. Anything that we've cooked is called food. Of course, this one is asking that do you take a boat to higher grounds? Maybe they're expecting people to swim, but we'll get through.
Man, I'm not swimming in that shit. There's probably all kind of crocodiles and wild animals in that shit. You crazy, Maria? That's Africa. There's all kind of crocodiles in that shit. Probably hippopotamus, all kind of animals in that all that water. Shit.
Tewali yafa. Njagala kujja Tanzania tulabe.
Tanzania.
Ne Tanzania times experiencing a floods. Naye nga si nnyo. Oba beetuulidde mu lyato. Baagala green. Yeah.
This is terrible. Terrible.
Tell Tanzania.
It is terrible.
Can we swim?
Yeah, but not in shit.
Not in crocodiles. Oh, the Jama Zindaka.
Whether I can swim. So there is a way I feel weird when I'm in water. I can swim.
Nali drowningseko. Naye ate one time when ngatuuka mu makati nguma. Now that's the funniest thing, but yeah, we can swim, but I don't think professionally.
For me, I can swim.
Yeah, I don't.
Whether what?
Check out swimming and go olugendo oluwanvu.
I can swim. I don't know what happened, but I've never swum for a long distance. But I don't know my capacity, but I can swim. I can swim. I can swim, but there is a way I feel weirdly when I'm in water. I feel weird, like weird, like I feel weird, like there is a time when water pushes you, you come on top. I feel weird, like to be on top, floating. I want to be stepping somewhere. I can't be swimming without a picture.
I remember those days. You know, Africa is crazy. You don't learn to swim in swimming pools and all that. And they were trying to swimming pool pools tezali nyingi like now.
Right.
Now we have swimming pools almost in most of some happen in places, hotels and stuff. And some people have them in their homes and stuff. But when we were kids, swimming pools were not many.
Mm.
And I remember we used to swim in rivers.
Yeah.
And a lot of children really used to lose their lives in these places.
Rivers,
Because at times
streams.
we'd go in the
Mm.
river to swim, and even you don't know that it has flooded.
Mm.
The water is running faster than.
There are those,
Uh,
are they animals? There are those creatures. If you know, so how are they called in English?
oh,
Those
I don't
things
know.
are crazy. Those things can
You know
hurt.
so.
Yeah.
They are like
Chicken.
snails.
Yeah,
No. They are like earthworms. I know. They can bite. They are black. They are
Bikuyingira
disgusting.
otabijjamu nekikuyingira nekigenda munda.
They
You may get out of water. They are normally in streams for me. I used to swim in streams most of the time because during that time we used not to have like an immediate river in our village, but we had a lot of streams. When you go, like you can swim, you enjoy one. You feel like someone is like tickling you. When you get out of something, buli wamu. Omikuggyamuka amasiga.
Nabikunywa musaayi. Biba byagala kuyingira.
Yeah, for them they want over they take blood stuff.
I think my experience of swimming the first time was on Impanga River. It flows from Mount Renzori, and it comes through in Fort Potro. It flows from Mount Renzori. So at times that river floods, and it's very long, really. So one time I went there with my younger brother. Uh, he calls them leeches.
Yeah, true. Jibjaba. It's like jibjaba. You have ever swam in those small. Yeah.
So at times, I remember one time, each time we would want to go, more especially when it is in the afternoon. Behavior. Yeah.
These things.
Behavior.
Yeah, they are terrible.
Mm-mm.
They are terrible. You.
Also.
No. Yeah, Dipijaba, you know those things, those creatures.
Those are the reason people don't go in water.
Yeah. Chikuyingira, like it enters, but you get out of water, they are all over your body, everywhere. Bari kujja kubanyusika mbere kusikamu mboga wagenze nabo.
Terrible.
I had a friend, whenever he could get them, he could cry. Yeah, and he was good. He was good at swimming. By the way, he was good at swimming, but whenever it could come out, the guy could cry. No river swimming for me.
No river swimming for Jibijaba. Those things, they are disgusting. First of all, but ate bibeera ne mu maadi amazzi ago agalimu abaana ge banaabiramu ne gaba amakyafukyafu ago. Now I didn't see them in Impanga. Maybe byalimu nga sibiraba.
And by the way, near our place, it is near Made area, so we had dug our small swimming pool. Kalimu ensulo, like nakajula amazzi naye nga bigenda. Where do they come
They
from?
love
Even
that
those small fish.
those muddy areas. Yeah. But when it's a river, at times there are not many in rivers, because rivers keep flowing all the time. And except that there are high risks of death. At times the water is strong. I remember we used to do that when we were kids. At times the water is flowing stronger than you. You don't have the strength to fight the waves and all that, the pressure that comes with the water. And a lot of children used to lose their lives. I remember a time I went with my young brother.
Mm.
So it was white women use leeches for facial treatment. That thing is very disgusting. Mm-mm. I went with him. We usually used to go like in the afternoon after we have lunch, and then we are like we are going to get water, even when there is water. But well, of course, we usually wanted to go for the purpose of swimming,
Mm.
and we reached there. So we could find some all grown up. There is that age. So they will start. Of course, they will stop you when you're young from swimming. You have to swim after them, and they'll be ordering people anyhow. You sit the other side. You're young. For us, you're the ones who are going to swim before you and stuff like that. And stuff like that. So those guys had stopped us. So we had sat waiting for our turn to, of course, go and swim. And we saw this. I think he was a teenager at that time. I don't know because I was young, but he was a little bit grown. I don't think he was so grown, like, but I think he was like in his 15, yeah, 16. He, of course, jumped in the river in the Amazon Mtwara, and we were all seeing, and people started, of course, shouting, and the boy was trying to struggle, but the pressure was so strong, and everyone. I never went back to that place because they tried. People, we started making alarms. We started shouting. People came. People fell in the water. The pressure had, of course, taken the boy far away. They had to find him at the market side because that river, of course, passed through a lot until the market area where, like, some people dump things, and that one reduces the pressure
Mm.
of the water flowing, because you know how markets are. Sometimes people dump in stuff, residue, and things like that. So his body was found right there. Why are these people always like this? How can eh, nah, maybe I don't know.
Told yeah, they are crazy.
Right again. But I want to get back away. But
Yes. Those things used to bite us. I don't want even to remember what I went through with those leeches.
don't talk about the leeches. Man. Don't even mention them. I'm not.
So, a lot happens when you're growing up, and swimming is also another terrible thing. I remember we used to go with my elder brother for swimming, but for him, he used to fear water so much. He used to fear water so much, and I remember one time when he tried to swim, mud caught him down the water. The guy had to, they had, the guy had to, of course, sweat in water. We tried to pull him out, stuff, and until now he had never and never gone into war anymore. But for me, I can't swim, but I don't feel good when I'm in water. But when I'm in water, but I can swim. Like there is that style we used to do when swimming. You you swim backward. I've ever like swam in that style. You swim backward, like a duck. We used to call that style duck style. We swim like a duck. You see, nakumanyi bulungi.
Amanyi oyo omwana oba kiki kyatamanyi oba kufa omugenda babagala muyita mu mafumu ayitamu obwongo bwoyo omwana temutegeera ali well.
But for me, I feel weird when I'm in water.
My elder,
even looking at the lake, like there is a way my eyes like.
You have that fear.
Yeah.
But
I remember one time I visited one of the landing sites in Uganda. I remember I told you about this story. We had gone to get some water in the middle of the Lake Victoria. So like, we boarded a small boat. We boarded a small boat to that place, like a small boat. But whenever we would, my good was it about
and,
how do they call them? Those things they use for yeah. Calling what? I'm forgetting the name. Over shield stuff or was what? Over balls. They're called balls. Yeah, they're called balls. So whenever we could roll those balls, the small boat could fetch some water from the lake. I was like,
and there are some areas where people fetch water with the containers.
At Yamazera, like water, like whenever that small boat could fetch water from the lake, someone could remove that water with a small jet.
And most of these boats, most of these local boats, there was it a boat? I don't think they
canoes.
Not even canoes.
Yeah.
Bukanuzi. Kano kawambo.
They are called the canoes. The canoes, very small.
No, but I think
wooden canoes.
I think these canoes, these wooden canoes, are new. But most of these wooden canoes, most of them leak.
Mm-hmm.
There is water that enters. I don't know whether it is like that, whether canoes are supposed to be like that. But there was a certain time, the wildest moment is when you travel on water at night. And these people usually of course sail on the water, know the directions, know where to go, but it is always dark. And you'll be having wild imaginations. At times the wind blows so hard when it's going to rain and people are floating on that water. You are in those local canoes. People have to fetch water. They even start telling everybody, just everybody fetch the water as much as you can, as much. Damn. And you start fetching water and you're like, my God, so this is going to be the end of me. I'm going to die. Is my mother going to eat? Like me, this is why this is what would come into my mind. So my mom is going to hear that of course Maria has drowned. Oh, I'm going to die like this. And but people are used to that. They do that, I think, every day. And I was, of course, traveling with my elder brother, the one I follow. My brother is very my brother is very he's very daring. He's very, I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to call it. I'll not say hosted, but he's someone who is not fearful. Like a lot of things people will be like, nah, I'm not giving that a try. He'll be the first person to say, I'll give it a try. Now that kind of person. And for him, he was comfortable about it. He wasn't fetching water. And even he said, Maria, you see, I'm going to fetch this. the water, and we were so scared. So, um, but I think when people are used to, a lot of people are used to, a lot of people who live around the water and cross, I think they are used to this because we even see a lot of people not using, of course, safety measures like having lifeguards, which is a risk, really, is a risk. Recently, we saw one of the Nigerian, of course, superstar who lost his life. He drowned.
Mm.
He drowned in a river, and everybody. He was. They used to say that he was one of the best swimmers
Mm.
in the industry. He was known for swimming, and he was a good swimmer, really. But anyway, there is a lot that, of course, that there is a lot that is still in. People claim there is a lot that is still involved in his death. There is something that is, I don't know. I don't know much, and but I still question myself. When this guy died, you see that his clothes were torn.
Mm.
I don't know whether they were torn when people were trying to say to, of course, retrieve him from the water. But again, people
Bam
said
like they
bamusanga flooded. Then you go
after
injury.
how many days?
Not for one after hours for him bamujamu after hours.
For me, the people I've seen that have drowned into water, either most of the people I've seen, who have died, who have been removed from water, most of these people they are naked.
And there is that nakedness where like the accidents remove shoes.
Eh?
When you are hit with a car, your shoes go flying.
Yeah, in water. I
But
mean
in
water.
water, I know your panties will come down, everything because now it's
Like
going to float.
if they're not
There's all
naked,
that injury.
if they're not naked, you find like clothes like the
Why?
byennyanja bibaluma.
Ng'ate omubiri si mulume.
That's what they say. And if he stays like for 3 days, you find eyes. You find no eyes. 3 to 4 days.
Ng'amaaso galaze.
Kujja nga tebinnamulaba ebyennyanja
Byaganya amaaso.
bimulya anti ge gagonda. Remember, the more you stay in water, the more you rot.
I know.
Singa Katonda akuyamba naye kimanyi omulambo
Yali mundooza for 4 hours.
bamusulamu bamusi kuba omulambo gumala mu mazzi
Ate he had blood mu nnyindo.
kasita omala aye kalina kyeyeekona kasita omala okukola ki kasita omala okudrowninga amazzi n'ogwanya ne gakukkuta bulungi
Ate olutwe lwali teruzimbye.
ngodda kungulu kiraka bamusulamu
Bamuse. Olubuto terwazimba.
however even people nga bamusuddemu nga bamusse era bazimba embuto abasinga
Naye olutwe lwali si luzimbye.
bamutooya
Olugwe lwali lulifu ng'omuntu ava okulwana. Abantu bagamba maybe since he was a good swimmer oba abantu baali bamwesigako like everyone wanted to kumwekwatako abawonye.
bawonye ki
Anti nga badrowning because he wasn't the only one who drowned. Bali mu boat.
oyo bamutta intended. By the way nekyo nakyo kiyinza okuba nga it can be one of the reasons.
Kuba bali bonna engoye zaabwe nga zaali nnamba.
It can be one of
Ate
the
abamu
reasons.
their bodies by the time we bagambira afudde abamu ng'emirambo gyabwe teginnazuulwa naye ogugwo gwe baasooka okuzuula
And he is a celebrity.
kyokka giri bagisanganga nga bagizaayo.
Do you know how many people died on the cruise? You remember the cruise? The boat cruise.
Yeah.
Naye wasajja other people died, but these prominent people from the kingdom, they did not die. They did not. People died. Abawala be balina
gakusesema n'okusesema amazzi gayinza okugaana okulya
bali bayina
ennyanja eyinza okugaana okumira omuntu
bali balina nti
bayinza omuleeta kati tolaba oyo gaali bekiremu bwe yamuzza ate bali abalala ne bateekayo
kisinziira
Because they said you
bali balina spirits zaabwe balina spirits zaabwe bayinza n'okuba eyo kuluzi bali bagitegese just kusaddaakirako bantu kuba kati gwe weewuunya okimanyi nti nno abo abaganda ba kabaka they are prominent more than the king. Do you know they are prominent more than the king? They have powers more than the king himself. But how is it that you like a brother to a king can be seen on such a boat?
a board.
Which take it, there are a lot of big boats which are accommodative because
Why
those
not
people have money.
private boats?
Yeah, those people can which take it. Why? Nga baliko n'abantu abali less,
local.
yeah, abali less privileged. Bano abawala banjagala ssente bikyani abaavu abatalina kye balina. They all died. For them, they did not die. Out of which all those people had actually life jackets. All of them, they had life jackets.
Baba bali batamidde nnyo.
Wow! Never water meeting in a life jacket, you still float on water. As long as you have the life jacket with you. But they died.
Life jacket yalimu ebituli.
They died. They died. Until they knew that the boat was in bad condition because the man Babagamba.
I remember.
They were told.
Waliwo ono gaye yali omusiyaze yafiiramu. Yatamu abantu abali 29.
Look at.
But I think this one in like Tanzania.
Tanzania?
And
31 Ugandan boat accident. Which one? At least 30 drowned in Uganda. Pressure boat disaster.
Oli emikono gyonna gikalambadde. Engeri oli w'otadde alo. Oli afudde dda. Amazzi nno gatta mangu. Bano ba Tanzania bo mbalabidde. Kofi ne bazibaleetera.
Ugandan boat which sank were carrying more than twice capacity. It was Uganda. Yeah. It was Uganda.
Uganda was a coffee nezirabawo waffe.
Uganda boat which sank was carrying more than, 5 years ago, more than twice its capacity. Yes, it is. It should maybe not be boat even. Dying on the sea. Such. Death toll from Uganda boat cruise jumps to 29.
Yeah.
And now it will be boat cruise, I think it was this one. Ekyali awo nga kikaddekadde. It was old. It was very old. It was very old. But it was very old. Bakiraganga. Even those people used to take videos.
Abawala baafiira omwo. Beekwata ku vidiyo.
Before.
Tugenda kulya ssente.
Staff. They ended up dying Bambi. So there are a lot of accidents that are associated with water. Jib Jabba said that Just learn to float first. You will be fine. If at all you fear water, just learn to float first. Then the other things will do themselves by themselves.
Once you learn how to float,